the weather's nice here, and I just had to sit outside and knit a little bit, and I kind of got carried away. I did the rest of my 6 rows here, and then I did 2 rows of the purple, as per the instructions. I didn't like the way the purple was carrying, and it was showing on the front side, so I cut it off, okay, before I started this purple up here, and I tied it off down here, and I'll work those tails in later. And then when I started it off here, I cut the green, and I tied the green with the purple, and we'll work those in later. Okay, we're going to start a brioche. A brioche is basically a rib stitch, okay, but it has a yarn over every other stitch, okay, which means you knit all of the knits in a rib on the first round, and then you purl all of the purls on the next round, and you're carrying your yarn over your slip stitch. I'll show you how to do that in a second. But the instructions also say change your needle size, and the reason is if you don't change it, the stitch is a very bulky stitch, and it would be too bulky. It would show out like this on this hat, and it would be too bulky. We want it to recede into the back, so we want a smaller stitch. It's still quite stretchy, okay, as you can see, not a problem, but it's a slightly smaller stitch, just the nature of it, okay. Anyway, so I have some needles here. I have a lace needle that's a size 3, but it's a little hard on the fingers, so I purchased some needles the other day from Amazon. I got the whole package of them, I think for $12, which was kind of nice. They're not as nice as the one that I'm using here, but they're quite serviceable. And for the price, I wouldn't even worry about giving one of these away. Same length. This is a size 3. And because it's not a lace needle, the points are not quite as sharp. Lace needles have very sharp points, and they have a tendency to dig into my fingers. I only use them when I'm using really fine yarn. Okay, let's get started with our brioche. Now we're going to leave our purple on here. We're going to pick up the blue instead. Okay? All right. We might want to slip that on there, or not, just leave it there. If we come back around and it's fallen off, it's not a big problem. Okay, so we're going to knit the knits, and we're going to slip the purls. So we knit the knit, and when we slip the purl, we slip it as if to purl. So in this case, we're coming from the back, and we're slipping it as if to purl. The next stitch is a knit stitch. The next one, slip as if to purl. Knit, slip as if to purl. Knit. Okay, and you get this funky looking pattern on the front side. Okay. Okay, that was a knit, so the next is a purl. Knit, slip as if to purl. And what we're doing is we're laying that yarn over our stitch so that when it comes off, it looks like that. Knit, come on, knit, slip as if to purl, knit, slip as if to purl, knit. So we're just picking that up, slipping it off, and laying the yarn down for our next knit stitch. And we'll go all the way around. You notice that my stitches on here are every which way. That's because I picked out the pink that I didn't like, and I'm not real consistent about setting them back on the needle. Anyway, that was a knit, so this is a purl, a knit, a purl, a knit, a purl, a knit, a purl, a knit, a purl, knit. Now, when I'm doing this, the row that I'm going to be purling, I like to, so I'm all finished with that. And somewhere of my little, well, I don't know where it went. Oh, there it is, row marker. So when I'm doing this stitch, I like to keep the one that I'm purling to the back of the work and the one that I'm knitting to the front of the work to start with, because when I do my next one, what am I going to do? Okay, I'm going to slip it as if to knit. Okay, noticing how it's set, slip as if to knit, and then I'm going to pull it forward, because, get the right one. Okay, make sure that's right. Okay, slip as if to knit, because this is my purl row, and then I'm going to purl the purl. I'm going to slip as if to knit, purl the purl, slip as if to knit, purl the purl. The pink was okay, but it was just a little bit much, and I like wild, but not quite that wild. This hat will probably be given away. There's a charity nearby, and I donate stuff to them sometimes. And my grandkids get them, and my children, whoever wants them. Okay, simple enough. This row is a purl row, so we're slipping the knits and purling the purls. And we're purling not just the purl that was purled before, but also that yarn over together. When you're doing continental, it's really easy. Okay, it's just second nature almost. You would knit as though you were, if you were going to knit it, it would be knit this way. So you slip your needle in like you're going to knit it. Don't knit it, just slip it to the front to pick up the purl stitch. Being left-handed has made me understand my stitching, stitches in general for knitting, because when I get instructions and they're written for right-handed people, sometimes it's irrelevant, but a lot of times the way you decrease and increase and pick up stitches is going to be all backwards. And so you have to really understand what your knitting is doing if you're a lefty. Okay, it looks kind of funky. Okay, this is our second round. We're going to go around 8 times. Okay, we're only going to get 4 rows forward, but we're going to go around 8 times because we're only knitting half the stitches in one pass and purling the other half on the second pass. So, when I transition, I'll show you what that looks like. Now, see, I almost lost that yarn over there. So I have to pull it back and make sure I pick it up with the stitch it's supposed to be on. Okay, there we go. Now transition. Okay, I had the purple. I'm going to leave it alone and pick up the white. Okay, so the white is the knit one. So knit two together. Okay, slip as if to purl. I'm going to tighten that up a little bit. Just like we did, except now we're working with yarn overs. Okay, on that first one, we didn't have any yarn overs. It was just knit and slip. This will be row number 3, and if you want to keep track of how many you've done, you can use whatever method. Okay, I've done 2. This is the 3rd one. And we leave our white yarn in the back. Our purple yarn is in the front. So we're going to be slipping our knits and purling our purls. And this will be row number 4. I got 3 done. This is row number 4. Oops, something up there. There we go. And we can begin to see our pattern here. It gives us a vertical stripe in colors. The original CC Beanie was done in one color, so you don't see that stripe. But it's an interesting effect if you want to use 2 colors.